When you shoot a landscape, you might find that the finished photograph isn't as good as the memory of the location, and that's because you can't quite get the whole scene into a single photograph. So what we're going to do is create a panoramic shot like this by shooting separate shots and stitching them together to create a widescreen version of the scene. Here's our panorama, and here you can see the source files. Let me just show you them one by one, and I'll talk a little bit about how we shot them so you can actually create a convincing panorama with no problems. To kick off, you need to set your camera to aperture value, and that stops the aperture changing as you pan the camera and take new photographs. Because if the aperture changed, then the focus would change between each shot as well, and you might find that some details are sharp in one shot, blurry in others, and that would cause a problem when you need to stitch them together. So stick to aperture value and take your first shot, which is this one here. I'll show you how to stitch these together in part 2, but first of all let me just show you how we panned and snapped our source files. You can see we're in portrait mode as well, and that means we get a very large version when we stitch them all together. So when we go to shot 2, I've panned it a little bit here to see a little bit more detail. Shot 3, you can still see some of the overlapping detail from the previous shot. Shot 4, shot 5, and shot 6. Now these were all taken using a handheld camera, so we can align them with Photoshop's help quite easily, but if you had a tripod, of course, it would make the alignment much more effective and accurate. But handheld is fine, as you'll see in just a tick, and you can then create a panorama just like this. So in part 2 I'll show you how to take these separate source files from the CD and stitch them together very quickly and effectively in